Yep. So I thought I'd take the opportunity to do a little bit of self-reflection on this. I need to kind of worry about fluid flow better when I do the other side. And you can see here why. This speckledy looking finish means I've got too much air and not enough fluid coming out of my gun. So I've got to rethink how I'm going to set that thing up for best control. More or less, the stuff atomizes and it dries quickly, and deposits itself on the frame like this, and you don't get a nice, even, shiny coat. And you can kind of see it there on my floor too. That's not sand. That's atomized and dried paint. So here's a good example of good laydown. Got some stuff on the substrate there, the metal, but aside from that, the paint itself isn't bad. Let me find another good example of good paint. God, I hope I can find one. Here's not a great example. Another example of paint that atomized. I mean, it's going to be durable as hell, but you don't want that. My God, that stuff is already. Whew. Well, let's see. Here's a good example of good laydown. Some flaws in the metal here, but again, the paint itself is nice and evened out. And the shininess is not an artifact of the paint. So, again, some things I'm going to have to kind of adjust for when I turn this thing over and do the other side. So, there we go. So I don't know if anyone's ever seen one of these things in use. I've used these things for eons, and I just take it for granted. Different paints, different catalysts, different paints had different catalysts, different reducers, on and on and on. The stuff I'm using here, this 2K ceramic coating stuff, is a 4-to-1 mix. So for every 4 quarts, I use 1 quart of the activator. I don't use the entire quart at once, and I may have a small batch to cook up, for lack of a better term. So these things are pre-graded for you. If you have a 4-to-1 mixture, there's your 4-to-1 ratio right there. The first one is the actual paint, the base that you're painting. Second one is usually a reducer. Third one may be a hardener. Let me see if I can find a pointer. Basically, you'd fill this cup with paint up to here. And then per the directions, you'd add a reducer or something per directions up to here. And then a hardener up to here, any other catalyzing agent, and on and on and on, in accordance with these ratios. Or if it's a 4-to-1 on something else, you'd use the different gradations on top. Same thing with 5-to-1, 6-to-1, 8-to-1. I'm not sure I've used any 1-to-1. I have used some 1-to-1. Most often 2-to-1. As you can see, I've already started on this batch here. I've already got some in the cup there. I'll just throw this back in my box. I missed. Figures, it's over there somewhere. I've already done a batch, but you can see that, you can kind of see, let's see, where's the 4-to-1? That I've already got it just a little bit past the 4. I'm going to add my activator. There we go. See the level going up. So as I reach that 4, a little bit more because I've had a bit of extra paint. That's the ratio for 4-to-1 using my my activator. So this is the stuff I really enjoy. I like the body work. I can't stand engine work. I don't necessarily. I don't know a damn thing about transmission, so I shouldn't say whether I like them or not. But I've never rebuilt one. And then you mix and mix some more and mix again. You keep on mixing. This stuff has a pot life of 2 hours, meaning it'll harden in 2 hours and you can't use it. So I'll mix this stuff up. I'll more or less paint that entire thing in about 15 minutes. And then wait another 15 minutes for it to kind of cure and harden up a little bit before I add the second coat. If you don't wait, you risk having runs and sags and too thick coats and that kind of stuff. So now that I've got the bottom, the underside that I painted done and cured, God, that stuff is rock freaking solid. I'm pretty impressed with this stuff. So if anybody ever wants a recommendation for frame paint or chassis paint or whatever, go for the Eastwood Chassis Black. It's pretty good stuff. Whether it's urethane or it's ceramic base or whatever it's got, the fact of the matter is I like what I've got. I've got the epoxy primer that goes with it. You buy it in a system, and the chemistry is compatible with the stuff I've already put on. So very nice, very, very nice. In a couple of prior videos, I don't know if you saw this, I was using this. This is a basic strainer. When you buy car paint, they gave you a bunch of stir sticks. I think I got this one at Lowe's, I think. Yeah, stir sticks, and some of these things, they're strainers. And typically, if you've got metallic base paint, you'll have clumps of the metal flakes in the stuff. So what you don't want are clumps and bits and things going into your paint gun. If you've ever made gravy with flour or cornstarch, if you add it directly into the boiling water, you get clumps, and that's not what you want. And the same thing with paint. You don't want the clumps because they will foul up the gun. I suspect that when I painted the underside, I had some clumps in the gun that didn't let the fluid out evenly. So, who knows? Like I said, I didn't use a strainer last time I did this, but all right. So this is ready. I usually have another empty paint can for the stuff I don't use. This one is my cleaning can. I've used this on all kinds of stuff. I used to have another can that I'd use with unused primer, unused clear coat, and the whole 9 yards. So I just hate to waste it. So I'm gonna put those two together and put one drip into the other. Now, if I have anything left over, I've got enough junk usually in my trash can where I can just toss it in there and it'll harden in no time flat. So I'm not too awfully worried about stuff going into water tables or whatever, because it's not doing it. It's hardening first. So whether it goes in there as a couple of ounces of unused or it goes on there of whatever, it's the same thing. So I think enough for now. And I'm done. I'm done painting this thing. My effusive praise of this stuff is probably a little bit premature. Damn it. As you can see, I've got speckledies again. I think I missed an entire spot there. Whoops. Look at that. Fuck. Anyway. After the first pot, this stuff started going on real thick, so it either started to cure in my in my gun or what, but at least this stuff is done. Let me see if this is, dare I? Yeah, it's still a bit tacky, but this had to go on real thick for it not to be, speckled. So, again, I'm not too awfully concerned because this is the frame, and it's now coated in a good hard candy shell of real awesome paint. It just doesn't look that great, at least not up to my prior standards. I now need to clean my gun up. It's been soaking in acetone for a while, but I think I kind of preferred it in just that flat epoxy primer black. Maybe next time I do a frame, I'll just leave it there like that. But again, I'm looking for protection and not necessarily how it looks. So appearance, that's the word. And my son and management are awfully upset about the smell in the house. I don't really care because I like the smell of this stuff. And they're searching for better ways to air out my garage when I'm working here. I have the garage door up a little bit, but actually not at all, but I won't tell them that. And so there we go. When I actually paint this thing, probably in a year from now or so, I'll double check, triple check, and quadruple check my gun, because I do not want to goon up the paint job in this thing. If I do it, I might hire it out, who knows, but anyway, that's it for now.